476 AD, a barbarian warlord removed a boy emperor from his throne. That single moment is what history books call the fall of Rome. Children learn it as a fact, a date, an ending. But what if that ending never actually happened? What if the Roman Empire kept going for nearly 1,000 more years? What if right now, across history, people were still calling themselves Romans? Because the Roman Empire did not disappear in 476, and the truth is far stranger than most people realize. By the 5th century, the Western Roman Empire was barely breathing. Barbarian armies crossed its borders almost freely, unchallenged and unafraid. The treasury was empty, the legions were hollow, loyalty was for sale. Emperors rose and fell within months, sometimes weeks, sometimes days. In 476, a Germanic chieftain named Odoacer made his final move. He deposed Romulus Augustulus, a teenager sitting on a crumbling throne. Odoacer sent the imperial symbols back to Constantinople without explanation. He did not declare himself Emperor of Rome. He simply decided there was no longer any need for one. The western half of the Roman Empire had officially ceased to exist. But here is what no textbook tells you clearly enough. The western half was only one half. Far to the east, another Rome was very much alive. Constantinople sat on a narrow strip of land between two seas. It controlled every trade route connecting Europe to Asia. Its walls were the most advanced military fortification in the ancient world. Its treasury was full. Its navy was powerful. Its administration was functioning. While Rome in the west was bleeding, Constantinople was thriving. The emperor ruling from Constantinople did not consider Rome to have fallen. He considered himself the unbroken continuation of Augustus, of Caesar, of Rome itself. And so did everyone around him. Modern textbooks call this surviving empire the Byzantine Empire, but that name is completely invented, and invented centuries after it ended. Not a single person who lived there ever called themselves Byzantine. They called themselves Romaioi. In Greek, that word means Romans. They called their empire the Roman Empire. They called their emperor the Roman Emperor. Their laws were Roman law, their traditions were Roman traditions. The label Byzantine was created by German scholars in the 16th century. It was meant to distinguish the medieval Greek-speaking East from classical Rome. But the people themselves made no such distinction. To them, Rome had never fallen. Rome was simply still going. It was Constantine who first moved the imperial capital to the east. In 330 AD, he dedicated an entirely new city on the Bosphorus. He named it Constantinople, the city of Constantine. He built it as a new Rome, designed from the ground up. 2 centuries later, Emperor Justinian looked west and refused to accept the loss. He launched the greatest military reconquest in late antique history. His armies retook North Africa, Italy, and parts of Spain. For a brief burning moment, the Mediterranean was Roman again. Then came Heraclius, facing an empire nearly destroyed by Persia. He reformed the army, changed the official language to Greek, and saved Rome. Later still came Basil II, called the Bulgar Slayer. He crushed the Bulgarian Empire and returned the Balkans to Roman control. Generation after generation, emperors held the line, each one believing they were the rightful heirs of Augustus, each one refusing to let Rome become a memory. Constantinople was nearly impossible to conquer by land or sea. Its triple walls stretched across the entire peninsula in layered stone. For over 1,000 years, those walls were never breached by enemy force. The city sat at the center of the world's most valuable trade network. Silk from China, spices from India, grain from Egypt all passed through here. This wealth funded a professional army, a skilled navy, a working state. The empire was also a master of diplomacy, playing enemies against each other. When brute force failed, gold, marriage alliances and treaties succeeded. And then there was Greek fire, a liquid weapon that burned on water and could not be extinguished. It destroyed Arab naval fleets twice in the 7th and 8th centuries. No one outside Constantinople knew how to make it. It remained one of history's most successful military secrets. Even Rome's fiercest enemies never doubted who they were fighting. Persian shahs called them Romans in every official document and inscription. Arab caliphs referred to the Eastern Empire simply as Rum, meaning Rome. Even today, Turkey has a region still called Rum, named after Roman presence. European kings sought marriages with Roman princesses for the legitimacy it gave. The Pope in Rome sometimes acknowledged the Eastern Emperor as Rome's true ruler. This was not confusion or mistake. The entire medieval world understood that Constantinople was Rome. Not the ghost of Rome, not the successor to Rome, Rome itself. But no empire survives without cost, and Rome's costs were growing. In the 7th century, Arab armies exploded out of Arabia with extraordinary speed. Egypt, Syria, Palestine, North Africa, all stripped from Roman control within decades. The empire lost half its population and more than half its wealth. Then in 1071, at the Battle of Manzikert, the unthinkable happened. A Seljuk army captured the Roman emperor on the battlefield. Anatolia, The empire's heartland and its greatest source of soldiers was gone. Then came the Fourth Crusade in 1204, a wound from within Christian Europe. Crusader armies meant to fight for the Christian faith sacked Constantinople instead. They looted churches, smashed statues, stole the most sacred relics of Rome. The city never fully recovered. What had once been the wealthiest city in the world was now hollowed out. The empire shrank year by year, decade by decade, until all that remained was the city itself. By 1453, the Roman Empire consisted of little more than Constantinople's walls. The emperor was Constantine XI, the last man to hold that ancient title. Outside those walls gathered the army of Mehmed II, Sultan of the Ottomans. He was 21 years old and obsessed with one dream, taking Constantinople. He brought cannons that had never been built before, each one enormous. For 53 days they fired without stopping into the ancient walls. Constantine XI knew he could not win. He sent messages begging for help from Western Europe. None came. On the night of May 28, 1453, Constantine walked through his city one final time. He prayed at the Hagia Sophia, the great cathedral his ancestors had built. He said farewell to his officials, his soldiers, his priests. Then he walked to the walls and disappeared into the fighting. His body was never found. He died an emperor. He died a Roman. So who ruled the Roman Empire for the 1,000 years after 476? The Romans did. The empire changed language from Latin to Greek. It changed religion from pagan to deeply orthodox Christian. It changed geography, shrinking from vast empire to single magnificent city. But through every change, through every loss, through every reinvention, they never stopped calling themselves Romans. They never abandoned the laws of Rome, the idea of Rome, the dream of Rome. What fell in 476 was a tired western branch of something far larger. What survived was the root that kept the ancient world alive through the chaos of the Middle Ages. The root that carried Roman law, art, philosophy, and faith into the future. History gave them a different name. They never asked for it. They already had one. Rome.